your heart just melt. It gives you a glimpse of this like deep relation. Now, the nature of this viraha. And so then every year, devotees, they celebrate viraha tithi. And in this way, when you say viraha, visesh, raha means like meeting, special meeting. So, by remembering and in separation, by this separation actually you're meeting again with the devotee. And especially those who have not met him. By those who have met him and remembering his glories, then somehow also we were able to meet that Vaishnava. And we hear about his glories and somehow it will inspire us. So like yesterday we hear many things. I was reading excerpts from the class of Srila Bhakti, Srila Bhakti began Bhakti Maharaja. He has this book, My Beloved Masters. It's actually a compilation of his different Pushpanjalis to the different disciples of Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So, we were not able to finish yesterday. So, we continue today. We were talking about how after Srila Prabhupada left this world, then we know how there was this whole division or fighting within the Gaudiya Math. And at that time, he himself, in the beginning, he was preaching with Shruti Maharaj. Then after some time, he stopped. He returned home. He was a little upset, why all this this fighting and everything. And so he stayed in his home. And we heard yesterday how his senior god brothers, like the Gurudeva Srila Bhakti began Bharati Maharaj, that's Srila Bhaktidaita Madhav Maharaj. That time he was still a brahmachari, Hayagriva brahmachari. He was preaching in his area and tried to bring him back. But we heard that in the beginning he said no, But it didn't mean that he stopped his bhajan or he had no more relation with Prabhupada, he finished. No, he was just upset with what's happening. And so he was not involved. He was not trying to be involved. But he was continuing his internal bhajan in his house. His parents are devotees also. But then later on, he was thinking how I said no to, he was also feeling guilty. He got other Garbhas are continuing to preach. Then, of course, it is said that he dreamt of Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And this inspired him to continue, and therefore he decided to take sannyas. So he got sannyas from Bhakti Vichar Jajavar Maharaj. So let me just find the book now. When he took sannyas, we were mentioning yesterday, that was 1942. For the next 32 years, then that he was preaching. He was preaching. He was preaching and then but mostly in India. But in 1975, 74, he actually also went to the West, mostly in Europe. England, Switzerland, in that area, Germany, West Germany, English. Okay, so we'll continue I'll read some excerpts from the glorification of Srila Bhakti Maharaj. He said that many people would come to the mat just to hear Srila Santa Goswami Maharaj's beautiful Harikatha and Kirtans. Once he accompanied Guru Maharaj to Jammu with a preaching party. So when you say he's talking about his Guru Maharaj, that's Srila Bhakti Maharaj. They were doing preaching in Jammu. Actually, Jammu is one of his preaching field. When Srila Gurudev went to Jammu, a few times Srila Gurudev went to Jammu program. So, in one of his early time in Jammu, when I joined, when I joined the program, I can see that many of the organizers actually to the program were disciples of Srila Bhakti Kusum Santa Maharaj. And up to now, they're coming. You know, this, we call him Chacha. What's his name? Pavitra Krishna. So he said that although he sang kirtans in Bengali, because mostly of our kirtans are Bengali. So, although he sang kirtan in Bengali, a language the people of Jammu do not understand, many people were nonetheless attracted. And this is actually the power of, just nice music. It's not just nice music actually. When someone is singing by heart, then it's somehow so much attraction is there. So, Maharaji was telling that in his mat, a lot of people, they would come, only to listen to his kirtan or his harikatha. I mentioned this before that they would go to radio stations also, and he would sing there. So everyone in attendance, they appreciated his kirtan so much that they would repeatedly request him to sing. So one time he sang a kirtan about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Said, Varna Chora Kotha Matai Chalvi Re. Said, oh, you have stolen the complexion of Srimati Radharani. You have intoxicated us. Where now do you wish to take us? And just like after every parikrama or every Nagar Sankirtan, when we return to the mat, then we sing this Nagara Brahmya Amar, Gora Elogori, this one. He would sing this song every, they would go Nagar Sankirtan. And when he sang this, he said that drops, his Maharaj's description is drips of rasa would be emanated from his lips, from his lotus lips. So, at that time, the preaching party was quite large. So there were 2 programs held each day. Although Srila Maharaj was not proficient in speaking Hindi, his harikatha was simple and easily understandable for all. And therefore, many people were attracted. And so, honoring the request of the residents of Jammu, he would perform kirtan and spoke harikatha twice every day. Now, whether he was attending a meeting or arranging a festival or sitting as a chairman of an assembly, Srila Santa Goswami Maharaj was always extremely punctual. Punctual meaning what? Never want to waste time. Always ahead, So, whether he's the chairman or even just simple meeting or arranging a festival, always his nature is he's very punctual. we have observed that if he was presiding over a function, and someone spoke Harikatha beyond the allotted time, and this happens so much, like, you know, because sometimes you can't stop, like, nature, when you glorify, you will speak Harikatha, sometimes you forget about the time, and it happens so many times. Gurudev would ring the kartal. So he said that if the speaker would go beyond the time, another time, Srila Maharaj would immediately interrupt him and terminate his address. And if the speaker was senior, senior to Srila Maharaj, then he would politely but firmly request him to stop speaking. But with juniors, he would grab them by the ears and order them to sit down. So Srila Santa Goswami Maharaj did not tolerate, and also he did not tolerate inattentiveness during Harikatha. Prabhupada is like this also, Bhakti Saraswati Thakur. You know, like if you see someone like falling asleep, Prabhupada said, hey, don't embarrass me in front of my Guru Maharaj. Because he's always in that mood that my Gurudev is with me. And wherever he speaks, actually, Srila Guru Srila Prabhupada Maharaj's picture is there. You know? So during class, in Chaitanya Math or anywhere in program, when he sees like his disciples are like falling asleep, he said, don't embarrass me in front of my Guru Maharaj. Like, stand up, go wash your face, like this. Like, stay away, don't be inattentive. So the same way, he said, like Maharaj do not tolerate inattentiveness. Whether brahmachari or sannyasi, a lady or a child, or whosoever, doing anything besides sincerely hearing during the time of Harikatha, he would like reprimand that person. And he would not even give them a chance to speak, you know, to reason, like no, like this. He would say, please leave. You do not know the etiquette of sitting in an assembly of Vaishnavas. He said once a Mataji, one mother, came to hear Harikatha with her grandson. You know, the nature of little kids, like restless and difficult to control. Now, that grandson was approximately 1 or 1.5 years old. When the boy started crying loudly during the katha, now she tried to pacify the boy. And so seeing this, Srila Santa Goswami Maharaj told her, do not stay in this assembly any longer. Only attentive people who give first priority to Harikatha are welcome here, and not anybody else. You think the care of your grandson to be the utmost importance and Harikatha to be secondary. Do you think this is a place where people can sit and do as they please? Our time is very precious and we have no interest in wasting it. Please leave immediately. It is like very strict. You know, in a way he's teaching, like, oh, Harikatha is very precious. Where else in the world can you really find this opportunity, you know, to hear this nectar of Krishna's pastimes or Krishna's names, like this, Krishna's glories. And so during that time, with full attention, Srila Gurudev himself also said that during Harikatha, especially when high-class Vaishnavas like Srila Gurudev, you know, when they're speaking, then give up everything, even your Harinam chanting, like this, full attention. So there's etiquette, and in a way he's teaching this to his disciples. There's etiquette. Once, Srila Santa Goswami Maharaj, he hosted a function at his Bihala Mat in Calcutta. Maharaj has 3 like main temples, main mat. One is in Keshari, that's in Medinapur. That's actually where his samadhi, like, you know, is. And then one is in I forgot the other place, and one is in Calcutta. So we're talking about this place in Calcutta, this Mihalamat. That's where we actually, like, one time Prabhuji and Tita Maharaj, they went and visited. I was there. That's when I had that fortune to see him. My first time I saw him. He was very, very strong that time. So he said he was hosting a function there, and he invited many different guests to speak. So among them were a number of disciples of Srila Prabhupada. So like Bhakti, Gurudev, Shruti, Gosvami Maharaj, as well as Srila Prabhupada's grand disciples from various months, such as our Srila Gurudev, Bhaktivinoda Narayana Maharaj, and him, Srila Bhakti Maharaj. So they were there in the assembly. Also in attendance was an old Brahmin, a university professor from a local college there in Calcutta. His face displayed a lack of interest during the gathering. So you can see, like, you can see when a person is interested, you know, just by their facial expressions, you can see. So you can see that that professor, he is like no interest in whatever, like what's happening, all the discussions. And when it came to his time for speaking, to deliver his lecture, he spoke Mayavad philosophy. And he declared, Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahma. Along with several other Mayavad slogans like this. So then after his speech, the professor, he rejoined the other speakers on stage and continued to look visibly disinterested during the next speeches. So like he's only interested, he's not interested with others. So when the time came for Srila Santa Goswami Maharaj to speak, then Srila Maharaj, he asked this person, "Are you Brahma?" Then the professor answered, "Yes, I am." So Srila Maharaj asked, "Then, is it true that you do not undergo vikar?" You know, vikar means transformation, like changes. Brahma is like nirvikar, no transformation, because it's impersonal. And the professor said, "Correct, I do not." He replied. Then, with one hand gripping his sannyas danda, and the other in a clenched fist, so he has his danda and his fist like this. He said, like, then he stood up from his place and he like go and like, you know, like making a show that he's going to attack this professor like this, going like that. And then everyone was, just imagine that, you know, like very sober, and like sannyasi, like this. And it's like, oh, like very violent, like this. But he didn't attack, he just like, you know, making him fearful. But not just once, he said like 3 times. Like go like that, and then again like this. And every time he would like, you know, be scared. And everyone was laughing actually. Yes. So then Srila Maharaj said, "See, you're not Brahma." He said, "Brahma is nirvikar. Brahma never undergoes change and never reacts to anything. No one can harm Brahma, and therefore Brahma will never react in any situation. By becoming fearful just now, you revealed to the entire assembly that you are not Brahma," like this. And everyone was like laughing, like even little kids. And that old professor, he felt mortified and begged forgiveness from Maharaj. So, here, then, Pujapad Bhakti Maharaj said, "I have heard Srila Santa Goswami Maharaj speak his opinion on Sri Chaitanya Dev's teaching to Srila Sanatana Goswami Pad. This Jivera Sarup Hoy Krishna Tedas." I mentioned this yesterday. You know, he actually wrote A very nice article. And that time he was very young. He didn't write this when he was sannyasi. But during this time, when they were together, Maharaj was actually mentioning to him what happened. So he's relating. So he said that Maharaj said that this verse states that the Swarup, meaning the eternal form, eternal nature of the Jiva, is Krishna's eternal servant. Jivera Swarupoy Krishnera Nityadas. It says like that. This is Mahaprabhu's teaching to Sanatana Goswami. Sanatana Shiksha. Now, I would like to interpret it in a high. He was telling to Bhakti Maharaj. I would like to interpret it in a slightly different way. From my point of view, the word Krishna here does not mean Krishna who is performing his pastimes in Golok Vrindavan. Instead, I take it to mean Krishna who appears in this world in the form of Guru to deliver sincere souls out of the clutches of Maya and bring them to the lotus feet of Krishna, where they may engage in his loving service. Now, understand, he's not telling that this is a wrong interpretation, a wrong understanding, that that Krishna there is like Krishna. But he's telling his own, another way to understand this. And especially in his situation, is very practical and like most meaningful. So that this Krishna does not refer to the Krishna in the Goloka Vrindavan, but the Krishna who has come here in the form of Guru. So what's the evidence? Then he said the statement of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami supports my statement, my opinion. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, it says Guru Rupa Krishna Kripa Koreni Bhakta Gane. Guru Rupe, the form of Guru, is Krishna Kripa Korena Bhakta Gani. Is that Krishna who distributes his mercy to the devotees. You understand? Krishna distributes his mercy to the devotees in the form of Guru. So Guru is Krishna. In the form of Guru, that is Krishna who's giving mercy to his devotees. So he said, oh, this is my evidence. When you say Krishna Ranityadas, the Jiva is the eternal servant of Guru. So why have I accepted this point of view? Because since time immemorial, I have been wondering about the universe in different forms of life. You know, there's 8,400,000 species of life. And like the Jiva, wandering from one body to the other. From time immemorial, you cannot remember. And only in this lifetime has Krishna manifested himself in front of me as Sri Guru. Before, in those different forms of life, I did not see Krishna. But this time I see Krishna directly through the form of Guru. He's like personification of mercy. Thus I consider that form, his form, as Sri Guru, to be eternally worshipful. He's eternally my worshipful, because really, you're so indebted to that personality. When I was preaching in Rangoon, Santa Maria was telling. So Rangoon is where is Rangoon? In Burma, I think Burma.
East of India.
That is India.
East of India.
It's not another country. Different country. Okay. So he said, while I was preaching in Rangoon, I wrote an article titled Vityera Parichai, the identity of a servant, in which I included a poem of mine that expressed the following. So, Maharaja has written like many nice articles also, like books. He also made one bhajan even. What is that? Gurudev Doyamai. Sometimes you just sing this. he was telling in that book, it's a poem. He said, the glory of service to Sri Guru Padma exceeds that of service to Sri Krishna. Greater than the service to Guru is, greater than service to Krishna is service to Guru. Why? While it is true that the jiva is constitutionally an eternal servant of Sri Krishna, the conditioned soul has forgotten this relationship due to his aversion to him since time immemorial. And Sri Gurudev is the giver of Sambandha Gyan, knowledge of one's eternal relationship with Bhagavan. You understand? He's telling that the constitutional position of the jiva, or the soul of the jiva is really eternal servant of Krishna. But this has been forgotten by us, the conditioned jivas. But who brings us back to back to our real swarup? It's actually when you meet the Guru. So Shri Gurudev is the giver of Sambandha Gyan. When we talk about Sambandha Gyan, we're talking about this real knowledge of who you really are and who really is Krishna. And what is the nature of this world like this? Like real knowledge. It is said that without Sambandha Gyan, you may be chanting Nam, but that Nam is never Shuddha Nam, never the real name. It remains an abhas. So, he said, as one engages everything, body, mind, and words, in serving Guru, then he becomes Gurudev, Gurudevatatma, one in spirit with Sri Gurudev. Then, by Sri Gurudev's mercy, the practitioner gradually realizes the purport of the teaching from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is Guru Rupe Krishna Kripa Koraina Bhaktagami. In the form of Sri Guru, Krishna bestows his mercy on the devotees. Not to speak of the stage of sadhana bhakti, even in the liberated state, when the soul is situated in his eternal nature, none of his efforts bear fruit without the guidance of Sri Guru. Even in the stage of Vastu Siddhi. So he's telling, that's why eternally, like when you say Krishna Nityadas, and he said, oh, this Krishna is Guru. Because that just doesn't mean this stage of sadhana bhakti, where okay, you need Guru and Guru giving you Sambandha Gyan. Because later, now you attain your Sambandha Gyan, then you become perfected, and you attain even perfection, and you go to the eternal world. No activity there is really like bearing fruit, unless, meaning, Shri Guru is still there. Because there's the principle of Anugatya. You know, like everyone is, there's always like the flow of like inspiration, how to serve, coming. So like, for example, mostly in our Guru Parampara, our acharyas, we say Rupanuga. Meaning we're under Anugatya of Srila Rupa Gosvami. In Pasana to Mahaprabhu, everything we're doing, all our like moves and teachings, everything coming from Rupa Goswami. But we're aspiring to be in Krishna Lila, then we'll be serving under guidance of Rupa Manjari. Like this. This is Rupa Nuga. So under Anugatya of Rupa Manjari, and like the gurus, they're also like under her guidance. So like they're serving there. Someone, I think, like his Vastu Siddhi, like his real or her real perfected like form, and there's still the principle of Guru, but it's not like you're Guru Maharaj, you know, like right now there's this awe and reverence, but there is a mood of the Vishramba. Like very personal, intimate relation. So the jiva's attainment of Shri Shri Radha Krishna Jugala's service is dependent on the guidance of Shri Guru. Therefore, Shri Gurudev is the embodiment of Bhagavan's mercy. And His mercy is not limited in this world alone. It is said, Shri Guru Charana Satya Tahara Sevakya Nitya. We sing this every day. Where is this song from? Shri Guru Charana Satya Tahara Sevakya Nitya. The lotus feet of Shri Guru are the truth, and I am eternally His servant. The relationship of servitude that the disciple establishes with Shri Guru Padma at the time of Diksha is eternal. Now we're talking about Sadguru. You know, like bona fide Guru, Sadguru, when you take Diksha, that relationship that starts at the time of Diksha, that is eternal. So even in the perfected stage, in Sri Krishna's eternal pastime, then that relationship will continue to exist, but in a special form. Thus, in order for the jiva to realize his position as the eternal servant of Sri Krishna, absolutely necessary for him to serve Sri Guru Padma. For this very reason, Srila Rupa Gosvami has stated in Sri Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Vishwambhena Guru Seva Sadhu Manu Vartanam. One ought to render intimate service to Guru and follow the path of the sadhus. So Sri Gurudev is the personification of Sri Bhagavan's mercy. In terms of potency, of mercy, Sri Guru and Sri Bhagavan are one. Bhagavan possesses all potencies. Among all potencies, His mercy potency reigns supreme. So we say Bhagavan is Shaktiman. He's possessor of all Shakti. Now, when you talk about His different Shakti, Maharaja is telling supreme is really His mercy. That is in relation to us, really. All other potencies of His are subordinate to His potency. Although Sri Gurudev is not omnipotent, the omnipotent Bhagavan is under His sway due to the power of His frame. Therefore, the mercy of Guru is all in all. You understand that? Guru and there may be difference. Guru is not omnipotent like Krishna. Krishna is all powerful. But although Krishna is all powerful, whatever he does is under the whatever Guru will tell the devotees. You know, Krishna is subordinate to the devotees. Whatever the devotees desire, Krishna fulfills also. And this is the nature of His frame. So if Guru is merciful, then Krishna automatically, His mercy will follow. In fact, Guru, we already said, Guru is the very condensed form of the mercy of Krishna. When we sing our Guru Pastakam, is describing Guru is like the rain cloud. It's a very good analogy, really. Because how rain clouds are formed? Where is the rain cloud coming from? Coming from the water, like everywhere from the ocean, right? And it evaporates. It's like in the air. But when all this vapor, they condense and they form, they become very thick and they form into clouds. And when they become really thick clouds, then that's the time when rain will come. So that very thick cloud that can distribute rain. So that's like Guru. Now everyone is suffering in material existence. And material existence is like a blazing forest fire. Blazing forest fire. I don't know if you've experienced a forest fire, but you can see, you can look at the internet or somewhere, how this forest fire is so powerful. It's not so easy to kill the forest fire. And if you're in the middle of forest fire, for sure you're dead. You know, like no hope really. Your only hope is like very big, like storm, like come and like drop very thick, like very strong rain. Then forest fire will be finished. So it's like in material existence, everyone is burning, is blazing forest fire up. Like material existence, what is that? The threefold sufferings, adhyatmic, adhibodhic, adhidevic, and all this like lust, greed, like this. So, but when mercy of Krishna becomes very thick, then that means you will see it in the form of Guru. When you meet, it's like this personality just like kills the forest fire of material existence. And we've explained before how in our Guru Vastakam, it's actually explaining how this Guru is this like mercy, condensed mercy. First he give you what? Harinam. Then he give you the form of Krishna. Shri Vigrahara Nanityanam. But which form? Shringar. We're talking about Krishna Sakrarai Thakur. He's the standard of Guru that like in our parampara. So Shringar. So literally you may, and the general understanding, Guru is happy to engage the devotees in worship of Thakurji and doing Shringar, you know, dressing the deities like this. But he's got some like deep meanings to that also. He's giving the special form of this name. And which form? The Shringar, in Shringar Rasa. And that's why in our deities are Radha and Krishna. We don't have deities of like any other, like Mahavishnu or even Krishna Balaram, mostly like Shringar. Then after that, Prasad. Especially when you're engaged in deities seva, then you begin to taste glimpses of this rasa, prasad. So one is, okay, you actually taste prasadam, just like the prasad, but also, this now you begin to taste this rasa, glimpses of this Shringar rasa. And there's 4 in there. Rasa, Sankhya, Vatsalya, Madhurya. In Madhurya rasa, all these 4 rasa is there. So Chaturvidha Shri Bhagavad Prasad. Then Shri Radhika Madhavaya, Madhurya Lila. He is also giving you now entrance and understanding to the Madhurya Lila. So name, the form, the prasadam, and this Lila of Radha Krishna, Radha Madhav. And finally, why he can do that? Because Nikunja Yuno Ratikeli Siddhayar. He is Nikunja Yuno Ratikeli Siddhayar. He is serving in the Nikunja. When you say Nikunja, there's Kunja, there's Nikunja, and there's Nibrita Kunja. When you say Kunja, okay, that's like that can be like open to like all the gopis with Krishna. But when you say Nikunja, that is like more intimate. That is Radha Krishna and only the Manjaris. And very private. And we say Nibrita Kunj, that's only Radha and Krishna. Even the Manjaris, they're outside and they're only waiting for Radharani's glances. You know, like, but they're like watching from outside, nobody inside. So, it said that Nikunja Yuno Rati Keli Siddhya, the Rati Keli, this pastimes of love in the Nikunja, they're making perfect. That's how great this personality. So my Gurudev is like that. Nikunja Yuno Rati Keli Siddhya. So that's why he can give all this. And he Yaya Libir Apekshaniya. So, then, based on that, you can see his very high position. And therefore we say, like really, if you look, from the beginning of this Guru Vaishnavam, it tells us our condition. Our condition is we're in the material world suffering, in the blazing forest fire. And imagine that, from our position now, in this material world, he can bring you to the, also with him in the Nikunja, Ratike, you sit there, also helping them. You can see like how high, from the lowest to the very high, then you can appreciate like, how very merciful, this like Guru, especially in our line. So, therefore, Sakshadhari Tvena is Sakshadhari. Sakshadhari is Hari himself. Hari meaning Krishna, Hari also meaning thief. He's a supreme like thief. He can take you away from this world and bring you to the highest realm of service. And therefore, he's glorified all over in the Vedas. And without her mercy, never get the mercy of Krishna. Yasya Prasad, Bhagavad Prasad. Okay. Sorry, I'm talking so much. We'll continue. So, Maharaj, he said, he was glorified like this. So when he said Nitya Krishna Das, like really, he considers that Nitya Krishna Das, that Krishna is Guru. We are the eternal servant of Guru. So after I completed this essay, Maharaj was telling, I gave it to my senior god brother, Bhakti Sudhir Yachak Maharaj, who then sent it with great delight to Srila Mayapur, where it eventually reached the lotus hands of Srila Prabhupada. And once Srila Prabhupada read it, he gave it to Sri Pranavananda Brahmachari. That's Srila Bhakti Pramod Maharaj. He was like editor of their daily newspaper. So he gave it to him. And he said, read this. And he said, what Radharaman Brahmachari has written is correct. So, Prabhupada, he approved it. And it is a matter of great delight that he has gained such spiritual insight at his young age. His conclusions in this essay are perfect and factual, and it should be published in our magazine, Dainik Nadia Prakash, for all to read. Later, Srila Prabhupada personally sent me a letter conveying his blessings to me. So Maharaj was done like that. And actually in that letter, Prabhupada wrote like a verse. And there the mention about Kumuda. And that's why when I mentioned yesterday that Jajavar Maharaj, when he gave sannyas to him, then he used that name, Bhakti Kumuda, Santa Maharaj. Vaishnavas like Srila Santa Gosvami Maharaj and many other disciples of Srila Prabhupada are Mahan Vibhutis, very great personalities. Their lives, their conduct, their thoughts, their vision, everything else about them is such that our astonishment at their divine qualities increases the more we hear and speak about them. So, he said that Maharaj is very merciful to Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj. Now he's talking about his personal experience. He said he gave him the opportunity to serve him in various ways. And really this is, the mercy of the Vaishnavas is really when they give opportunity, for service. Once, his Guru Maharaj, Daita Maharaj, he sent them to Puri, along with his other god brothers, like Yashoda, Jivan Brahmachari, Gauranga Prasad Brahmachari. Later, that he became Bhakti Acharya Maharaj, and some other devotees. They sent him for some important work. There was this desire they had this desire that they would be able to get this property. Prabhupada, his birthplace was in Puri. Okay? Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Now this is Gaudiya Math. It's owned by Gaudiya Math, Chaitanya Gaudiya Math. Actually, Bhaktivedanta died in Maharaj. He was successful to get his property. But before, this was from someone who was owning this. So that is a very important place. So on that place, Lord Jagannath himself stopped for like 3 days until Prabhupada, baby, 6 months old, was brought to him. And that was actually the time his garland like fell to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada was given his first like grain. So, yeah, this important place they wanted to get. So this time they were sent on a mission, like, you know, like try to contact the owner and try to arrange. So while they're living in that, while they're, for that important work, they're looking for a place, and therefore they stayed with Srila Santa Goswami Maharaj. Because at that time he had a small house he purchased for making into like a preaching center, like a small temple, like a small mat. So he purchased this small house that he wanted, like later he will make into a mat. It was very new. So they were staying with him that time. Now Rath Yatra time came. They knew that in Rath Yatra many devotees will come. So Maharaj, he has his disciples also. So Maharaj, he was telling that, you know, they don't want to occupy the place because maybe many devotees will use the place and now they will not be able to use it because they're occupying it. It's a not very big place. So they asked Maharaj, he said, I sent Sri Gauranga Prasad Prabhu to humbly request Srila Santana Goswami Maharaj to allow us to leave and stay in a nearby Dharmashala. So they said, like, we'll just go in nearby Dharmashala because there's the upcoming festival, Rath Yatra, and we are expecting many of your disciples, they will be coming to stay in that small house. And later after the festival, then we could return. And then, you know, like, so they didn't want to impose on like Maharaj and his followers. Now, upon hearing this request, Srila Maharaj affectionately but firmly, he replied in great surprise, how is it possible that I can accept this? The words, yes, you can stay somewhere else, can never come from my mouth. Understand like this? So why? Because the work you came here, you know, to do purchasing for the property of Prabhupada's birthplace was actually our duty. And since we are his disciples, while we have not made this, even the slightest endeavor for this, you are doing this very enthusiastically. So like how, therefore, it's impossible for me to say, like, no, like, don't stay here, go, you can stay in the Dharmashala. So, he said, like, please stay peacefully with us, and whatever you need, you know, don't hesitate. As much as we can provide, we will give. A Vaishnava never considers this place is ours, and we can manage everything. Everything should be done according to our desire. So this is one important thing he learned, and he can see from Maharaj. He has this nature like the Vaishnavas. They never like have this feeling that everything is ours, and according to us, we will manage like this. Instead, they think, no, this is not our place. This place belongs to the Vaishnavas, and we are its members, not its owners. We will cooperate with whoever comes, accommodating them according to the available facilities. So we're talking about the Vaishnavas. It's not like anyone also coming and then we're facilitating whatever you need, and they're not Vaishnavas. Vaishnavas coming, and then, okay, this is your place. We facilitate whatever. So this is Maharaj mode. I mentioned yes, but because it is small, it cannot be constructed in a rectangular manner. No. Srila Santa Goswami Maharaj later gave me the opportunity to construct a proper mat at that site of that house. So this house later on, because Srila Bhakti Maharaji has many experience in building temples. Like now, the Gridhar Prabhu is like, engaged so much like building this Radhe Kunj, like this. He has so much experience. Next time when someone, like Acharya Prabhu will make his temple, then he'll probably like ask Gridhar Prabhu, like help me reconstruct my mat, like this. So he has a lot of experience. So then he asked Bhakti Maharaj, like, oh, you can help me, like, let's construct a mat here. Right now it's very small space. And you can make it that, it will look like a very decent plant like this. Like, that a proper mat will rise. So, then he mentioned, yes, but because it is small, it cannot be constructed in a rectangular manner. It should be done in a parallel way. So he already has some idea, no? And the ashram can be on one side and the temple can be on the other side, like this. So Maharaji said, he replied, oh, I don't understand parallel construction, rectangular construction, or any of these things. Please, you should just do it in such a way that everything will be done properly. Like, oh, you have full authority, like this. After that, Maharaji made a plan and inspected everything and oversaw the entire construction process. And now they had a mat there. So, so like Maharaj, he was telling like this, like Maharaj giving all these opportunities for service. And Maharaj, Bhaktisiddhanta Goswami Maharaj, he would always acknowledge his like God brothers. Like when Srila Bhakti Maharaj was mentioning about how he is appreciating his God brother, Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj. He's saying two of our most worshipful Vaishnavas, Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj and Srila Bhakti Hridoypan Maharaj, they were the ones who mercifully brought him to Srila Prabhupada, like this. He was always indebted to that, because they're the ones who preached, to his father, and they're the ones who invited, arranged that he will study. So he was telling that all I can do is to express to them my most sincere gratitude that I have been able to adhere to this path of bhakti. Even at the age of 84 is possible only because of Sripad Puri Maharaj's continuous guidance, and I am deeply indebted to him for this. He was speaking this with him when he was 84 years old. When he stayed on this planet for how many? 98. From 1921 to 2012. So he said, Srila Puri Maharaj is extremely well educated and well versed in scripture. Learned men, there's many learned men, but a true knowledgeable person is very rare. The knowledge he imparts is not merely knowledge from book, nor it should be considered like speculative, like reasoning. Rather, it is most relishable and enlightening. Why? Because simply it is transcendentally beautiful and divine in nature. And this is the knowledge really that's coming from our Guru Parampara. This knowledge is with realization. Someone who has Sambandha Gyan and someone who's tasting this love, when you speak, then automatically people become soft and they change. So these kinds of people, they're different. They're rare. He said, I consider myself Sri Puri Maharaj's younger brother. He's always my Shiksha Guru. Now, just to add, Maharaj was mentioning about some of his teachings, some things he learned from him. Because he would always say, in order to taste Bhakti Rasa, two components are indispensable. there has to be a realized speaker and a sincerely inquisitive listener. So it has to be two ways. Because there can be someone like Srila Gurudev or Srila Gosvami speaking nicely. But if you don't listen, you're not like inquisitive and sincere, he sounded like this: sincere, inquisitive listener. Then there'll be absence of tasting this rasa. Or you may be an inquisitive listener and sincere, but the speaker doesn't have this rasa. Then how this experience? So this transcendental experience can never be achieved by imitation also. So just we've mentioned Sri Guru is an ocean of mercy, and the material world is an ocean of birth and death. If we deeply consider the principle of Sri Guru, we find that the root word Guru has two syllables, Guru. In Sanskrit it means darkness and that which destroys or eliminates. So Gu means darkness and Ru means eliminates or destroys. So one who destroys darkness. Therefore it is evident that one who is capable of removing the darkness of ignorance from the hearts of the jiva, they cannot be considered a true Guru. Only those who are capable of removing the darkness of ignorance, they're true Guru. So living a life in this material is difficult and dangerous. Every step gives rise to sorrow and pain. But especially without spiritual knowledge, then so much more, like misery is there. But with Guru, then everything becomes easy. It's impossible to realize the absolute truth through parrot-like preaching or the pursuit of speculative knowledge. The purports of the Vedic scriptures are revealed through the medium of Sri Guru only. To the surrendered bhaktas who serve the spiritual master with the same complete, pure, unalloyed devotion. He's saying real education begins when one's capacity to learn is directed towards serving Sri Hari. Many individuals study scriptures merely to exhibit their half-baked knowledge, but such ambition is strictly forbidden. True knowledge is that which inspires one to seek the service of Bhagavan. So he's telling real knowledge is really that which inspires one to serve Krishna. That is real knowledge. There's, I've seen even some posters here. It's like learn to maintain yourself by Bhagavatam, something like that. Like they'll give seminars, so then you can do all this Bhagavad Sapta, and then your life will be maintained like this. So this is like knowledge for what? Like and even using like Bhagavatam like your livelihood. And that is actually one of the Namaparad. So only by like service to Guru is real knowledge coming. And real knowledge is that which inspires to serve God. Now, okay, so tomorrow is Purnima. And this month is Posh. This month is Posh. In our calendar is Narayan, month of Narayan. And this month of Narayan, we know Srila Gurudev, Bhakti Swami Maharaj, he also entered Samadhi. But in this Purnima of Posh, in our calendar, that is Sri Krishna Pushya Abhishek, like this. So generally, on this day, you can see in many temples, and this is done in Jagannath Puri also. And like you can see in temples that on this day, they do flower abhishek. They do our flower abhishek to Thakurji on this. And like in ISKCON, you can see also tomorrow. Especially like in Bombay, like they're very big. And like some temples it's very big. And they have like very nice pictures. And in Mayapur also, like all the deities, they're all covered with flowers. Like this. And push, actually, push means nourishment. Like this. So, real nourishment is not nourishment of this body. This body is like useless. I mean, not useless really because it can be used for the service of Krishna. But taking care of this body for what? For sense gratification, that's useless. Huh? And, okay, real nourishment is not really like nourishing this body, but real nourishment is nourishing like the self. Okay. So what is the real nourishment? Real like health of the soul? Only when the soul is tasting Bhakti. This shlok telling this, what's that? Like 3 things when you eat. When you eat, in every spoon, you know, 3 things happen. You are nourished. What else? Your hunger is diminished, and then you'll be satisfied. Like this, 3 things. So in the same way in Bhakti, your suffering will also be gone. And then you begin to taste devotion, and then you'll be happy. Like this. So, is that like activity? So then, I don't know how this began, this particular festival, but from the word Posh, it's like, this like this particular festival like nourishes your like bhakti, very nourishing. Like how in Hari Bhakti Vilas they said on this day they recommend rubbing Krishna's body with ghee. Ghee is very nourishing. So, okay, you try to nourish Krishna with ghee like this. And Srila Prabhupada himself, Bhakti Vedanta Swami, Prabhupada, he was mentioning that how Krishna, he's like a toy in the hands of the gopis. Like the gopis, they decide like, so many different festivals for Krishna. Krishna, yes, okay, he agrees. So then one day, he said like, today we'll decorate Krishna very nicely. So then they wash his body and decorate him so nicely and put like flowers like this. So Prabhupada is like, on this mood, you do festival like this. So this Pusha Abhishek, I asked Prabhupada tonight, this evening, Prabhupada what to do tomorrow. And so he said like 11 or 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, before Bhog offering, we will do like Abhishek with flowers. And everyone has a chance to even go and like offer, like flower petals to our Thakurji. Like this. And actually in some temples, they have deities, small deities, right? For doing like Abhishek. But on this day, Pusha Abhishek, you can see that they actually do on the big deities, really. So that's why you can see, like in the temples, like all covered with flowers. So therefore, like I encourage, like we have some flowers, and we're trying to arrange with what's his name, Prabhu?
Abhishek.
Yeah, we'll arrange with what's his name?
Abhishek.
Abhishek. That to bring some flowers. But you yourself, it doesn't stop you. Like if you want, you can bring your own, like many flowers. And then we'll have tomorrow like 11 o'clock, I think that's enough time. From 11 to 12, just before Pujari will offer Bhog. Then we have that 1 hour, we'll have nice kirtan. And then everyone takes a chance to go and take turns, like offering flowers to Krishna, Radha Krishna, like this. Okay, so that's something we can do tomorrow, Purnima. Pusha Abhishek. So we'll end today. It's 9 o'clock. Jai Srila Gurudev. Guru ki jai, Guru Parampara ki jai, Nanda Vaishnava ki jai, Sharana